The San Diego Prep Insiders Basketball Podcast is powered by Jersey Mike's. Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
What's happening, sports fans? Christian Pedersen, Tommy Morris, Aaron Bergen. We are on to the playoffs. We are doing a bracket podcast for every single round, every single division, every single game, every single everything, so we have a chance to educate you or upset you or make you happy or make you indifferent and unfollow us because you're here for soccer and you don't like basketball. Whatever your reason is for stumbling upon this podcast, thank you very much for watching. We are breaking down the Division 4 CIF San Diego boys basketball playoffs. Guys, full disclosure, he's a father of a San Diego high school player. There is a San Diego high school player enjoying his President's Day break by being passed out on our studio couch over there. Whether or not he's going to walk around in the background is completely up to him. We will be breaking this down, though, with all objectivity and no bias whatsoever. None whatsoever, even though you do have a giant Coach Baz tattoo on your chest now and a caver tattoo on your back. Just
it's not there. I can't really talk about it.
Okay, good thing this is not on television and online. So here's how this works. No buys, no anything, just straight, unleaded, high nitrous anarchy for nonstop rounds. First game's being played February 20th, which is tomorrow, as I check my dates and times and realize that when you work in sports, you lose somewhat of touch with reality and don't understand where you are.
On the dot.
7 o'clock on the dot. We're going to tip this one off.
Drop top, cruising the streets.
Cooking up something hot in that crock pot?
No, that was Usher.
We are all three operating on different generational wavelengths here. Let's just talk about basketball because that's something where all three of our wavelengths collide. The 1, Maranatha Christian. The 16, High Tech San Diego. Will the biggest upset of this bracket happen, or is this Natha Nasty through further round?
This is not going to be like last year, where Maranatha, 3 seed, lost to Hilltop in the first round of the Division 4 playoffs. I'm picking Maranatha for this one. High Tech San Diego squeaked into the playoffs on the final day by virtue of just a handful of points. It's good for them to get into the playoffs. Congratulations, you get the 1 seed, and they're the 1 seed for a reason. Philip Willis and crew gets it done.
Yeah, I was going to say congrats to High Tech for making it into the playoffs, but I got Maranatha.
I will agree. Maranatha, you mentioned Philip Willis. He is somebody who probably has a pretty enormous chip on his shoulder after the way that last year's playoffs ended. So you got to think that this isn't just a 1 seed Maranatha. This is a 1 seed Maranatha who probably feels like they have everything still to prove because of how early last year's ended. The next one, the 8, Southwest El Centro playing the 9, Calipatria. We've seen Southwest El Centro when they came in for the MLK Day event out at Christian. We know that they are a fast, athletic team, but are they a team that can get the W?
Yes. Southwest,
all I needed.
Southwest El Centro was one of my favorites in Division 4 at the beginning of the year because they brought back an entire group of players that were juniors last year who were 1 3-point shot away from winning, from making it to the Division 4 finals. So bringing back an entire crew, they got off to a slow start because most of their guys play football as well. So they were playing deep into the year. It took them a while to get on the same page. They're on the same page. I think this is a very dangerous team. I picked them to beat Calpat.
I would agree. I think that this is a team that you want to see this Maranatha Southwest matchup because it's shooters versus speed and agility, and it'll spread the floor nicely. Tommy?
Yeah, I was going to say that second round matchup's going to be tough for Maranatha against the Southwest.
You're going Southwest El Centro. Clean sweep, Southwest El Centro. Let's move down a bracket. Escondido Adventist Academy, the number 5, will be playing number 12, El Cap. Guys, let's start on this side. EAA or El Cap?
EAA for me.
I'm going to go the Hawks, too. I think El Cap has a few injuries that they've been dealing with down the stretch. If they're healthy, it's going to be a close game. I think this one's going to be one of the closer, more intriguing matchups, but I'm going to pick EAA.
I will pick the upset here. I think that El Cap has shown if they are there and present and accounted for, they can nail the 3. and they can stay with teams.
And they're pretty big inside.
Like they have enough pieces. If you look back at some of their losses, they lost to like a Mount Miguel, which they won't necessarily get the appropriate seeding credit for because that's a team that finished in the top 10 in the county in the regular season, despite it actually just being a D3 loss. Some of the minutia of the scoring, maybe they're not really a 12, maybe they should be like a 10. But this is a team that I think has that big playability that if you truncate everything down to, we got to get it done in these 4 quarters, I think they got the upset. Moving on, number 4, Tri-City Christian. Number 13, Crawford. Does the freshman season for Coach Bird continue deep into the playoffs, or does Tri-City Christian pose too much of a challenge?
This is my upset pick. I'm going to pick Crawford here, the 13 seed. The reason why is because I think that they're a team that's really difficult to prepare for because they play a very unorthodox style of basketball. I love their guard play. Their point guard play is really strong. Kevin Carrillo on the wing, Jabir Muhammad on the wing are really tough. But I think the difference maker here is going to be Ricky Stewart in the middle. Ricky Stewart. I would give the Ricky scream, but again, generationally, I'm not sure if any of you will get that reference. Ricky Stewart in the middle versus Chase Webb from Tri-City Christian. That will be a very fun, intriguing matchup. But I think Crawford goes up to North County, gets an upset.
I like Crawford too. A bigger school playing against a smaller school. I always like the bigger school in that one.
I'm going to go Tri-City Christian just because I've already picked my upset, and I think that trying to say that a 12 to play a 13 would be a little bit ridiculous. But that being said, you bring up a lot of points that are very interesting about Crawford, and the fact just that we're talking about them having a shot at winning a playoff game is something refreshing, and it's good to see that it didn't take a 2 to 3 year thing for Coach Bird to even get the ship back to even. He's already got a little bit of momentum going there. On to the other half of the bracket, number 3, Monta Vista versus number 14, Calexico. We'll start with you, Tommy.
Monta Vista, this one won't be close, I don't think either.
I got to agree with you. Monta Vista is a team that they always have a dude. They always have a guy. They always have an answer for whatever is going on. Like, say, somebody that's in the studio audience dropping things and making noise.
I'm going to pick Monta Vista. DeAndre McHale is that dude this year, and he's been the dude the last 2 years for them. They're tough. They compete, they pressure the ball, and, they're the 3 seed for a reason.
Next game, number 6, Homey Park, that I'm just learning is an academy and not just called Homey Park. I like that. They're playing number 11, El Cajon Valley.
It's an interesting one.
How so?
Because El Cajon Valley is one of the least scouted teams in the region, just because, we haven't had a chance to see them or talk about them that much, but finally had a chance to watch some tape on them. They're a quality group in Division 4. They play tough. They can knock down shots. They can run and speed you up. But I'm gonna pick Homey Park in this one. The 6 seed GPA.
Way to snake the El Cajon Valley fans, getting them all excited.
Yeah, they got real excited. No, I'm gonna pick Homey Park in this one. Last year we saw them make it all the way to the D5 championship game. They bring most of those guys back. Tiberius Ballard has had a good senior year. He's averaging over 20 points. Christian Garrett is what makes him go, the point guard play there. He's a kid who in North County has a decent reputation as being a pretty quality basketball player. If he was at a bigger school, he'd be a starter there too. So I'm going to go with Homey Park to hold serve and get that home win.
Tommy?
I'm going to go upset. I'm going to take the Valley. I'll go Valley.
I will split the difference, and I will also agree with you on Homey Park. Just, for as much confidence as you can have, or not confidence, but as much intriguing sensibility of this is an interesting El Cajon Valley team, I do steer a little bit more towards who has played the bigger games, and for that I go with Homey Park. Number 7, the Preuss School. Number 10, Victory Christian Academy. Guys, this has a lot of, to me, intriguing implications of you'd almost want to see this as like a semifinal because this is a good game. This is good basketball to be played. That being said, I will go with the Preuss School. I think that the Preuss School, that 7 kind of deceives you just because this is a bracket without buys. You can't, they got the top, so they're moving. Like 7 seed onto the quarters, onto the semis, onto the championship would not surprise me with the kind of quality talent they have at Preuss.
We'll stop at the quarterfinals there for me, but I like Preuss in this one too. This is going to be a game where you've got both teams have very good backcourts. Kibru Siebo, Thomas Tolentino are the best small school backcourt in San Diego. Victory Christian counters with Steve Stinson, Larry Oldham III, and Jalen Wilson, 2 sophomores and a junior who really get after it. Now, who I think the X factor in this game will be Christian. I'm going to kill your last name. I think it's Ubochi, the 6'7.5" freshman. If he is able to knock down shots on the inside, he's a really raw kid offensively. But if he's able to, be my goodness, that really just happened, didn't it? Sorry, guys.
You can answer it?
It's my daughter on FaceTime. We're not going to answer that. But if he's able to be an interior presence for Victory Christian, they could spring the upset. But I just see Tolentino and Ciebo doing too much.
You got to agree that Tolentino's the deciding factor in that one. Tommy?
I'm going to go Victory Christian. I will say this, too. In the next couple of years, you're going to be seeing them in the finals. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but it's going to happen soon.
Yeah, they'll be in D4 next year.
So the trajectory is there for both these schools, man.
Yeah, I think next year for Preuss, they lose Tolentino, but they bring back Ciebo, who's really good. He's a very good point guard. But, you got to think that both these teams will be in D4 next year. They won't move up to D3. And if that's the case, Victory Christian is going to be loaded at the D4.
Last game to talk about in this bracket, the number 15 High-Tech Chula Vista is coming for blood versus the number 2 San Diego Cavers. Now, guys, we've talked repetitively about San Diego for a pair of reasons. One, your obvious connection to it, but 2, just the fact that San Diego has absolutely wrecked house this year in ways that were not necessarily predicted. So, Tommy, do you dare incur the wrath of this half of the room, or are you going to go ahead and say San Diego?
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it for you because I know you're going to say San Diego, and they're going to win the whole bracket. Calling it right now.
All right, come give us your selection on this. I think that you can make a lot about High-Tech Chula Vista and whatever matchups and okay, come down, bend down. No. Now, okay, so earlier this season we had you on the podcast and you just had absolutely no clue about what games were left on your schedule. We now definitively know what game is coming up next. Yes. Talk to us a little bit about what the mindset is going into the playoffs as a number 2 seed.
Hold up. So.
Put him on the spot.
No, yeah, you guys really did.
All right. We'll give you 4 on the landing and keep you moving.
Wow. Again?
Apparently, the media talent skips a generation just like the basketball talent does.
Come back up. You better redeem my name. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll get him back around for the for the D3 bracket. Thomas Marcus, freak athlete that you can't expect or classify as he's not a D4 dude. He's literally going to play Pac-12 football. Yeah. So you got to say that okay, there's the number 2 just because. A phantom basket goes in against Hoover, and this happens and that happens, and you kind of had to just be like, who cares? They're just disproportionately more athletic than the bracket.
They're number 2 because back in December they lost the game to Maranatha Christian. That at that point, I remember driving home and saying to the kid who was just behind here, I was like, that game is going to come back to bite you guys. Because if you win that game, if you are the 2 seed, you automatically move ahead of Maranatha and you get the 1 seed. Fortunately for both teams, they get home games all the way until the final.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to be real. The difference between a 1 and a 2 isn't that bad, especially if it sets up a rematch in that finals of Maranatha San Diego.
And so what I see with San Diego in in this game is just a collective amount of athleticism that is very difficult for any small school to deal with. Not just Thomas Marcus. I mean, we're talking about Emmanuel Henry, senior forward who's had a really good year. Daniel Thomas, who was excellent on the football field. He's continued that play into his junior year on the basketball court. C.J. Johnson has had a really solid year as well. And, of course, the starting 5 rounds out with A.J., playing on the wing.
Which, thank goodness, he's good at basketball.
Goodness, I know, right? But I think that in this 2-15 matchup, it's gonna be overwhelming for High Tech. The Preuss San Diego game is probably going to be one of the better games in the Division in the divisional quarterfinals, regardless of divisions. I think.
That'll be.
I will say this too: they would have been a higher seed also if they didn't have such a good football season because they had a lot of football guys that didn't.
Yeah, that December loss came without two of the starting five that you were talking about because they were busy going all the way to.
No. The Maranatha, they were at full strength, but they weren't at full strength. You know what I mean? It took them a couple weeks to get into basketball shape, but they did lose what turned out to be a bad loss. You know, the Mira Mesa game, the second game of the year, they didn't have their full complement of players. As you can tell, somebody did not like that game in the background, but I picked San Diego to win this one.
There you have it. That is our Division 4 selections. We will be back in the next couple rounds to bombard you guys with more and more and more. Please let us know if you think we're wrong, if you think we're right, if you think that he should take over hosting the podcast and this just becomes a very minimalist operation next year. That's about it. We will be back for the next round. Thank you very much for watching.